You stare at yourself in the mirror longer than necessary, adjusting the angle of your jaw, fixing your posture, checking if you look powerful enough, attractive enough, successful enough, and for a few seconds, you feel something close to control. Then the feeling disappears almost instantly, so you chase another improvement, another status symbol, another image to maintain, another mask to wear, and slowly, without noticing, your entire life becomes performance instead of experience. The strange part is, modern society rewards this behavior. People admire the aesthetics of control, the expensive watch, the cold expression, the perfect physique, the luxury apartment, the emotionless confidence. They see Patrick Bateman and focus on the suit, not the emptiness. They focus on the appearance of power, while ignoring the psychological horror underneath it. Because deep down, many people secretly want to become him. And the dangerous part is this: most people trying to live like Patrick Bateman are not actually chasing wealth or discipline or success. They are trying to escape humiliation, insignificance, rejection, weakness. They are trying to construct an identity that cannot be hurt, a version of themselves that feels untouchable, respected, desired, feared. Because somewhere along the way, they learned that who they naturally were did not feel like enough. You can see it everywhere now. Men obsessing over aesthetics more than happiness, building routines they secretly hate, forcing themselves into personalities that feel emotionally dead, studying manipulation tactics instead of communication, treating life like a constant performance review, constantly comparing themselves to others online, measuring their value through money, women, status, attention, and validation, until even relaxing feels unproductive and human connection starts feeling transactional. The problem is not ambition, discipline, or wanting success. The problem begins when your entire identity becomes dependent on external symbols, because external symbols can never fully stabilize internal insecurity. You can improve your body and still feel invisible. You can earn more money and still feel inferior. You can gain status and still feel emotionally empty, because insecurity is rarely solved through accumulation. It simply changes costumes. Patrick Bateman became an icon because he represents something deeply modern, the collapse of identity underneath perfection. He looks successful on the surface, controlled, admired, sharp, superior, but underneath, there is nothing stable holding him together. No authentic self, no emotional grounding, no genuine connection, only image management and obsession with status. His entire personality is constructed from external expectations and social comparison, and that is exactly why so many people unconsciously relate to him now, because modern culture quietly trains people to disconnect from themselves and become brands instead of humans. Social media intensified this dramatically. Your personality slowly becomes curated for perception, not truth. You stop asking yourself what actually makes you feel alive and start asking what looks impressive to others. Even self-improvement becomes corrupted when the real motivation is fear of being ordinary. You see people waking up at 5 in the morning, filming every workout, every meal, every business move, every achievement, not because it genuinely fulfills them, but because they need evidence that they matter. Their life becomes content, their personality becomes marketing, and eventually they no longer know where the performance ends and the real person begins. The scary thing is, this lifestyle can feel powerful at first. You become more disciplined, more respected, more attractive, more focused, and people start treating you differently. But underneath that improvement, there is often emotional starvation. You stop feeling connected to simple things. Conversations become strategic. Relationships become ego validation. Rest feels guilty. Vulnerability feels dangerous. And slowly your emotional world becomes colder and flatter. That is why so many people today look successful online, but privately feel exhausted and emotionally numb. They built a version of themselves designed to survive competition, not experience life. Historically, societies have always rewarded status, but modern technology weaponized comparison. to an unnatural level. In previous generations, you compared yourself to a few people around you. Now you compare yourself to millions every single day. Every scroll reminds you somebody is richer, fitter, more attractive, more successful, more confident. And when your nervous system absorbs this constantly, you begin constructing an identity entirely based on catching up. Patrick Bateman was written as satire, a warning about consumerism, narcissism, and identity collapse during the hyper-materialistic culture of the 1980s. But something strange happened over time. People stopped seeing the warning and started idolizing the aesthetic. The satire became aspiration, and honestly, that says a lot about modern culture because many people no longer want peace, meaning, or emotional connection. They want superiority. They want visible proof that they are winning. They want to never feel looked down on again. And when that becomes the primary motivation behind your self-improvement, eventually everything starts feeling empty because superiority is not a stable emotional foundation. There will always be somebody above you. There will always be another level, another comparison, another insecurity waiting underneath the surface. And this creates a trap that never truly ends. The more your identity depends on status, the more fragile your peace becomes. A richer person enters the room, your confidence drops. Someone more attractive appears online, your self-worth shifts. Somebody criticizes you, and suddenly your entire emotional state changes. Your inner stability becomes controlled by external hierarchy. That is not confidence, that is psychological dependency disguised as self-improvement. Real confidence is quieter than that. Real confidence does not constantly need witnesses. It does not need to prove superiority every 5 minutes. It does not collapse when someone else succeeds. One of the biggest lies modern culture sells is that emotional detachment equals strength, that becoming cold makes you powerful. But many emotionally detached people are not strong. They are exhausted, disappointed, emotionally overstimulated, afraid of vulnerability, afraid of rejection, afraid of feeling deeply again, because it threatens the image they worked so hard to build. And this is where many people quietly lose themselves. They become hyper-focused on optimization while neglecting meaning. They build impressive routines while their inner world slowly dies. They become admired by strangers while feeling disconnected from themselves. They look powerful while secretly feeling emotionally hollow. Then eventually, they hit a wall. Because humans are not machines, you cannot suppress emotion forever without consequences. At some point, the loneliness catches up, the anxiety catches up, the identity confusion catches up, and you realize something deeply uncomfortable. You spent years building an image while starving the actual person underneath it. And the worst part is, many people never realize this until they achieve the thing they thought would finally complete them. The money arrives, the physique arrives, the validation arrives, and the emptiness is still there, staring back at them in silence. That moment destroys people psychologically because it forces them to confront a truth they avoided for years. External success cannot replace internal connection. You can become more disciplined without becoming emotionally dead. You can become successful without turning your entire life into performance. You can improve yourself without hating yourself. But modern culture rarely teaches balance, because balance does not market as well as obsession. Obsession gets clicks. Obsession creates envy. Obsession creates attention. But obsession also slowly disconnects people from being human. Some of the most confident people you will ever meet are not obsessed with status at all. They are grounded in themselves. They know who they are outside of performance. They can sit alone without needing constant stimulation or validation. They are emotionally present. They are not constantly scanning the room for hierarchy. Many people chasing hyper-masculinity are actually chasing emotional safety. They believe if they become powerful enough, attractive enough, respected enough, they will finally become immune to pain. But nobody becomes immune to pain. Humans are emotional creatures, not emotionless machines. Image obsession often destroys authentic connection. When every interaction becomes calculated, people stop meeting the real you. They meet the performance, and eventually you become lonely even around other people, because nobody actually knows who you are underneath the image. Identity built entirely on external validation eventually collapses under its own weight. If your entire life becomes about proving your value, you never actually experience your value. You remain psychologically trapped in endless performance. If you lose your humanity chasing status, the victory becomes meaningless. Remember that.